Money is a touchy topic for you. Conversations about wealth and money and status online is a touchy topic for some people. And by some people, I mean rich people. Like, they really do not like it when the peasants talk about them. We're not even trash talking them. We're just talking about how some people have more money than others. They just really don't like to be talked about by poor people, by the plebeians. At the same time, from my observation, I've also noticed rich people are not the most touchy people when it comes to conversations about wealth. It's actually people who are not even rich. Maybe they're middle class, maybe they're poor, but they're like fans of rich people. Rich people have their own fans or stands or whatever. Fans of rich people who are not rich themselves, but they dream that one day they will be rich. So therefore, they have to run defense for rich people and make decisions against their own best interest. So those are the people that are like actually more sensitive than rich people. Ask me how I know. To be honest, I don't even want to talk about money or wealth anymore, because every time I talk about it, even in its most innocent form, even if like I've talked about the old money aesthetic or stealth wealth, it's related to fashion aesthetics, just related to fashion. It's like it's a fluffy video. It's a fun, fluffy video. Just the most innocuous topics. I'm guaranteed to get annoying comments year after year after year. I'll tell you about that later. Every time I talk about class differences, something to do with money, something to do with wealth, I am guaranteed in the near future, I'm guaranteed to be bombarded with very annoying comments from rich people, that's so they say, and the fans of rich people, the billionaire bootlickers. So keeping that in mind, knowing that I'm going to get annoying comments for the rest of my life. And I know I don't even want to talk about this, but I just find it's just too irresistible to pass up. So I'm just bracing myself. I'm putting myself on the line here. I'm putting my sanity on the line here. I'm not dogging on rich people. Some rich people could be very nice. There's annoying poor people too. There's annoying people on both ends of the economic spectrum. Money is a touchy topic for you. Money is the reason we exist. Everybody knows it. It's a fact. Kiss, kiss. There's been a lot of conversation and discourse about influencers and influencer fatigue, and how some influencers have become too successful, too rich, and they're not relatable anymore when they start to flex their wealth by doing mansion tours and luxury bag hauls and jet planes, islands, tigers on a gold leash, PR package openings, expensive brand trips. Like, people are sick of it. People have disdain for it. There's always the insult lobbed that money can't buy class. Most people don't like that. They're the bad rich. Their new money. And on the other hand, simultaneously, over the past 5 years, at the beginning of 2020 or so, during 2020, 2021, the entire TikTok fashion aesthetic era, I suppose, it's pretty much petered off by now. I started my channel actually kind of documenting TikTok fashion aesthetics, cottagecore, dark academia, old money, whimsigoth. It was great fun, but that era is done. We don't really know what the dominant fashion aesthetic is anymore. What I've noticed simultaneously, there's a romanticization of money, the old money aesthetic, which is romanticizing having generational wealth and what it looks like. The retro Ralph Lauren ads to the J. Crew catalogs to Nancy Meyer movies. You got to fit in coastal grandma in there somehow. Dark academia, people romanticizing going to an Ivy League and all the privileges that entails. To major in something very esoteric, like I'm going to major in Shakespeare, I'm going to major in Greek mythology, in Latin. They're all like kind of part of this Venn diagram of romanticizing what is basically rich people with generational wealth. Like they're the good rich people. I get this vibe that people think that they're the good rich people when you're rich, but you're not flaunting your wealth too much. But at the same time, you were born rich. So therefore, being born rich gives you class. So there's a romanticization of basically generational wealth and the perceived pedigree and class that comes with that. Money talks, but wealth whispers. And in the same chronically online vacuum, we have a disdain for influencers. And I mean, yes, Some of them are pretty annoying. There's always the insult lobbed at influencers or anybody who's perceived as flaunting their wealth in a gaudy, rude manner. Money can't buy class. So both these things kind of exist at once. The aspiration to be rich with class and thinking that being born to money will give you class somehow by birthright, by your genes, by the most expensive education that money can buy, versus the disdain for somebody who's newly minted rich. So that's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Teresa. We're going to talk about what it means to rich right, whatever that means, and the double standard between old money and new money. So I have to bring out my spatula for this. I have two hands full right now. I have to hold this and I have to hold my spatula of justice. In this case, it's not a spatula of justice. There's no justice to be found here. Today, it serves as my emotional support spatula. Money is a touchy topic for you. So during the first season of my channel, like my very first videos were about fashion aesthetics and fashion history. A fashion aesthetic is like a collage. It has no rhyme or reason. It sets a mood. It sets a vibe. Just imagine a teenage girl cutting out outfits from 17 magazine or Vogue or something and then pasting it into a collage, okay? It's an inspo board to help you dress better. It's an inspo board for whatever outfit you want to put together, or maybe not put together. You know, as a writer, I put together a lot of like Pinterest mood boards that have no rhyme or reason why they're together, but it just inspires me to write a mood, okay? So that's what it is about. And this is the problem with an algorithm fueled recommendation system. It's a double-edged sword. It helps people find you, but it also brings people that just don't get it. One of the fashion aesthetics I talked about was old money and stealth wealth or something, but mostly old money. That was the most annoying video. That was the most annoying video in terms of comments for me. So in the old money aesthetic, and I'm not the originator of this, I'm essentially narrating a Pinterest board. The old money aesthetic draws inspiration from retro Ralph Lauren fashion ads or perfume ads, 80s, 90s J. Crew catalogs from Princess Diana's various everyday outfits. And it also draws inspiration from the preppy look, the preppy handbook, the 80s preppy from WASP culture, but because it also draws inspiration from like the Martha's Vineyard, New England nautical beach vibe. It also draws inspiration from the Kennedys, from like the Kennedys Camelot fantasy, okay? Somebody would always come in and they're like, the Kennedys are Catholic. They're not WASP. Okay, they just like want me to know that I'm mistaken, that the Kennedys are Catholic and therefore not WASP. It's an aesthetic, okay? When I put together a video, I like to imagine that I am basically throwing a slumber party and you are my bestie who I invited to my slumber party. Like I spent the afternoon cutting out photos from 17 magazine and I put together this collage. It's an aesthetic, okay? I'm running my sleepover party, showing my collage off to those who care, to those who are into it. And along comes somebody who has like a real hard-on for the Kennedys, by the way, and feels the need to defend them and tell me that I'm wrong. I don't know the difference between American Catholics and like WASP. And bear in mind, I do know, I used to read John Updike. I know all about WASP culture. We are talking about a TikTok fashion aesthetic here. I'm not making a documentary like I'm Ken Burns. Okay, it's a TikTok fashion aesthetic. It's a vibe. It's vibe with it. And the Kennedys, while not WASP, according to this guy's definition, they do embody the look. The mid-century Kennedys give off the old money vibe. Maybe they were considered new money in this guy's time when Grandpa Joe was rolling whiskey barrels into speakeasies. They're considered new money, but it's been over 100 years. And in 100 years, new money becomes old money. So that's the first thing I've noticed, is that there's a lot of people running defense for the Kennedys. And I don't think that you're a Kennedy. I mean, there's a lot of them, but I don't really think that this guy is. So that's like one of the instances that tipped me off that rich people have fans that are running defense for them. Another unusual thing that I've encountered just talking about the old money aesthetic or just like wealth in general is that there's people that like to come in. Well, first of all, they open with, this video is so stupid and I'm rich. Me, Buck. That's my name. I'm rich. And he proceeds to list off all his assets. And I'm thinking, Buck, you ain't rich. Anybody who is rich is not going to take the time telling me, a lowly YouTuber, how rich they are. Like, why does it matter for me to know how rich you are? Anybody who spends the time writing what accounts to be a novel, listing off their assets and telling me, needing to prove to me how rich they are, is probably not rich. I don't think you're working hard enough. Shouldn't you be working as hard as rich people say they work? I would assume that you would have much better things to do with your time. You would have nothing to prove to me. So that's why I think that there are a lot of billionaire bootlickers out there. Those who are not, I can't say they're exactly poor, but they're not billionaires or millionaires. Now it's like we've upgraded to billionaires, but they're not rich, but they like to think that they are. That's why they have to protect like their little club, the billionaires, which they think they're part of. If they try to gain entry into this club, the bouncer will just kick them to the curb. So this is a very troubling observation that I've discovered just from making a video about old money aesthetic. And let me reiterate, an aesthetic is a bunch of images that puts you in the mood. In the case of the old money aesthetic, is to put you in the mood to buy a cable knit sweater. So that's why I need this emotional support spatula. I have like opened Pandora's box of people who will basically fight to the death for rich people. We've heard that like billionaires have built billionaire bunkers to protect them from the rest of us when we all figure out what they're doing. Their big fear is like, how would their security guards, how would they not turn against them? And fear not, because there's a lot of people that will lay their lives down on the line for rich people. So that scares me. I need this spatula to defend myself. A long time ago, during my early YouTube shit audio era, somebody was really nice to me, and they said that when they hear my shitty audio, instead of saying your audio is horrific, they likened it to the experience of flying in a commercial airplane, and I happen to be the captain talking to you, telling my story through the intercom as I navigate you guys through a lot of turbulence. I like that analogy, so I'm going to use it. Passengers, I am your captain. I am your captain now. And we are flying through turbulence. And everybody just sit your ass down. Everybody strap on your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. But if some of you feel the need to stand up and cause a ruckus and start pinching flight attendants in the ass, I respectfully have to say, as your captain, get off my plane. Honestly, some people just don't mesh well together. They enter my room and they don't like it. They don't like the decor. They start like heckling me about the decor, and they start shitting on the floor. They start showing me their investment portfolios like I care. I don't care about your investment portfolio. You just shit on my floor. So this segment is what I call the case study between two types of money, two types of influencers and how they're perceived online. So I have spoken before about like the influencer downfall era, influencer fatigue. The consensus is people are sick of out of touch, rich influencers who flaunt their wealth in this economy. I don't even need to talk about the economy. I just have to say, in this economy, mansion tours, luxury bag hauls, PR package openings, brand trips, the usual suspects. You don't want to see waste. You don't want to see somebody flex. You don't want to see people light 20s on fire. There was a time period where people were here for it because it was just kind of fun to see somebody basically win the social media lottery and succeed. And it gave you, the average person watching this, it gave you a sense of hope while working your dead end job or whatever, or working your low paid, unappreciated job, that, okay, maybe one day I can start like an Instagram account and post some travel photos and I will become an influencer. Or I could quit my day job and become like a digital nomad and all that stuff, right? So added to this is an extra layer of bitterness. It's what I call the relatability gone wrong syndrome. A lot of social media influencers pretty much started out in the same level as their viewers. They used to be relatable. They've changed. They've become too big for their britches. They influence too close to the sun. And now they've become unrelatable. The knowledge that you both kind of started out at the same starting line, you're in the same race and they're just a little ahead of you, to the dissonance of seeing them in a mansion while you're still at the starting line adds to the whole disdain for out-of-touch rich influencers. So this is an open letter to any newly minted influencers out there who I doubt is watching this. So I feel like a 20-minute video talking about you is probably something you're not going to watch. I feel like TikTok's more your speed. If you live in a mansion and you're itching to do a mansion tour right now, don't do it. But Teresa, I have to do my mansion tour. I have a mansion. This is who I am. This is my authentic self. I have to do the mansion tour. Just don't do the mansion tour. Trust me on this. Nobody wants to see the mansion. Just hold it back, okay? Just hold it back until we get out of this economic slump, if ever. One day there will come a time where people want to see this mansion tour. Actually, strike that. I would say people do want to see your mansion tour, but the reception won't be like, oh, congratulations, I want to be just like you. No. People are going to watch this mansion tour and they're going to hate it. But if you're going to do the mansion tour for rage bait purposes, you can't stop somebody from doing a mansion tour if they're dead set on doing a mansion tour. So that being said, these newly minted millionaire influencers, they have the whole stink of new money about them. It's like the feeling that they have something to prove. That's the whole point of flexing, that you have something to prove. You want to prove to your audience that you're rich now, that you've made it. I'm rich, bitches. Just like the multiple people in my comment section that like list off their assets to me for some reason. I don't know who they're trying to prove, like to me, or in the comment sections. I don't know if you're talking to me, like you're specifically saying you, or you're just talking to like you in general, like everyone in general. But I just take it as they're trying to prove to me how rich they are. Why do I care? The general vibe around these newly minted millionaire influencers, they have a new money stink to them. They're gaudy. They have something to prove. Nobody really likes the decor of their mansion. So one would think, given the reception to out-of-touch influencers, that all rich people flaunting their wealth or all people displaying signs of privilege is a no-no on social media. But we have seen there's, I would say, exceptions to the case. The case of Becca Bloom is fascinating. It's a fascinating case study. She's known as the Queen of Rich Talk, this little segment of TikTok dedicated to everything rich. And she gets a very different reception from all these other influencers. She's leagues above them in wealth. Mostly it's because she was born into a rich family. Her displays of wealth is very subtle. She just kind of sneaks it in there. Like it's kind of like background noise. She was plating her cat's meal for the day, and she'll just casually mention that chef prepared this or that for her cat, and everybody's like, what? Chef? What do you mean chef? Like you have a live-in chef in your home? So her cat eats caviar, and everybody online is like, when we say eat the rich, we don't mean you. The reception to this is the polar opposite of Jaclyn Hill's like TikTok challenge of eating McDonald's chicken nuggets with caviar. Like Becca's cat eats caviar. I just think this is a very fascinating case study, how they're both rich, right? But this person is basically like a self-made rich person, essentially. She's self-made through influencing rich. And this person was born rich and then became an influencer, decided to start a TikTok account. She lives kind of in her rich bubble, but everybody loves her, but everybody now hates her. And I'm just like, what? They're both rich. And actually, Becca's way richer. What did the girlies say? The math is not mathing. Everybody loves her. They're saying, you know how to rich right. At the opposite end of the spectrum, you have your Michaelas and your like Jaclyn Hills and whatever. Throw whatever influencer you find annoying for being out of touch in that mix. And they're doing mansion tours. Like, she's got a mansion too. Two types of rich people treated completely differently. So to be clear, I don't really follow any of these influencers. I recently got on TikTok, actually. You don't really need to be on TikTok all the time to be aware about what's going on TikTok. But I recently got on and my feed is just nothing but books. That's it. I recently learned of the term shadow daddy. Let me know if you ever want me to do a video about shadow daddies. Two rich people treated completely differently. In terms of personality, I would say that Becca's personality, from what I've seen, she speaks in a tranquil manner.
There's sturgeon, kaluga, and 2 types of osetra. We're gonna add some on the side for seasoning.
Kind of like a meditation tape. Sometimes I'm kind of like a bag of nails. get off my plane. You know, I could learn from her, from the clips I've seen of Jaclyn Hill, even in that famous clip where she was complaining about people not watching her anymore. I didn't find her very annoying. So totally different personalities. Some people like animated, some people like tranquil, some people like both. I'm not bothered by either. So what does it mean to rich right? And how can somebody rich right in that they're both rich, but one person's actually richer than the other person? You know, when you really boil it down, one person was born to wealth and they receive a lot of admiration from the general, I don't know, TikTok viewing public, versus like an influencer, a newly minted influencer is basically self-made. This is the case of the double standard between old money and new money, where new money, the newly minted influencers or rich person, is considered gaudy. They have something to prove, and that's why they flex, versus somebody who is born to wealth. She's comfortable in her wealth, like her wealth is in the background. What I find strange is that people say that Becca doesn't flex. Her wealth is very subtle. But what I find is like it's not very subtle at all. It's just like her presentation of it is very subtle. And her wealth is kind of like a Where's Waldo. She's just talking about everyday things, but she just happens to be rich. For instance, this spatula could have cost me like $1,000 for all you know. But where does the Achilles heel of relatability fits into all this is that so many people, the same people who hate rich, out of touch influencers, are basically worshiping at her altar, is because she's so rich that she's transcended rich. She was never relatable. She never started out relatable.
Don't judge me for this, but I fell in love with a laptop case, but they don't make it in my 15-inch size. It's only in 14-inch. So I decided to buy a new laptop today to fit that laptop case because it was just so pretty. I promise I'm not normally this extra.
So you never had that expectation. She's just like you, but just a little bit better. And I could be like that too. There's no way that you could be as rich as her. There's no way that you could achieve her level of wealth. So because she's never started off relatable, she's not so much like a real person as she's become like a rich character in a soap opera. So therefore you can't really be mad at her for being just like you and then like getting too big for your britches, because she was never just like you. So when she takes you on a private jewelry buying spree and drops like millions of dollars on a bracelet, you're not living real life, you're living in a fantasy. Because relatability is the magic sauce that makes an influencer successful, but is also something that contributes to their downfall. Once they've reached as far as they could go, their relatability is a thing that will screw them. It's almost like a Achilles heel, a tragic flaw. For instance, if I came in with a gold-plated spatula and start waving that at you, you're like, oh my God, Teresa, you're too big for your britches. Who do you think you are with your gold-plated spatula? What are you flipping some $500 eggs? So I want to know what you think about this. Do you think that there's this double standard between old money and new money? Discuss it with nuance if you're capable. What do you think about billionaire bootlickers? Do you think they exist? And if you happen to be a billionaire bootlicker, what can I say? Maybe you want to tell us your story. Why do you bootlick? I'm not going to say stop, because I've learned long ago telling people not to do something is just like skating uphill, and I don't want to be the motherfucker that skates uphill.